Welcome to Weekend Night Live, hosted by Samuel Jacobs Abbey, where we play music, talk shows, and interviews on Be Inspired Podcast Network. Stay tuned and keep your dial on www.beinspiredpodcast.com. Don't forget to stay connected, be inspired, be unique, and be different.
Thank you. So the topic is, why do you want to marry and why do you get married? You know, people get married for so many things. The thing is beyond the I do. How do I build a lasting relationship, a lasting marriage relationship? We need to learn. For those of us who are yet to come in and those who are already in, we all need to learn. Everybody needs to learn. There are many reasons why people get married. And here are some of the reasons. Some people get married just because they think they're old. They're old enough to marry. Or they just want someone who can cook for them. If it's a man, they visit a lady once or twice, they cook very well, they love their food. Well, this can be my wife who will cook very well for me. Others get married because they think that they need someone to take good care of their home. Cleaning up, working very hard in the home, so they want somebody. That's the reason why they marry. Others get married because they want children. They think they are old enough to have children. And for others, they're being harassed, either by parents or friends or other people. Why are you not having children? We want children. Parents are harassing the children. We want our grandchildren. And sometimes it's not that the parents are just harassing you. They are also being harassed by their friends and their relations. Why are your children not married? Why they have their grandchildren, so they're sharing, you don't have anything to share. So they're harassing the parents, so the parents harass the children that they should get married. Some want to marry because the lady is beautiful or the gentleman is handsome. So that's the attraction. So they feel they should get married to this person. Some want to marry because the person is rich or has the potential to be rich. We want financial security. That's the reason why they want to marry a particular person. Some want to marry because the person has a prestigious where, there are a lot of benefits. You can see a lot of benefits, so we want to marry this person. Others want to marry because of documentation, what we call marriage of convenience. The lady has papers or the gentleman has papers, so You want to marry so that you can also get your papers. Some want to marry because of the benefits they can get, like maybe promotion at work or some promotional transfers. There are some workplaces, if you are not married, you will not get certain positions. So because of that, they want to marry. And some want to marry because the person is just a lively, bubbly person, a likable person by everybody. So they think that this is a good person for me. I want to marry. Others want to marry because they like the race of the person or the ethnic group or the tribe of the person. Some people marry to improve their family bloodline. All kinds of things. If you marry into this family, it will be good for you. Some want to change their color a little bit. We are too dark, so we want to marry a fairer person so that our children will be fair. Some, are even fair, but they want a fairer person. So they want to get married to other people. Some marry because it's just a natural thing to do, because you are out of school, you have a job, the next thing is to marry. So they feel like they have to marry. And some others to marry because, in the church, the person is very prayerful. You see the person as a very, very prayerful person, either as a strong leader in the church, She has a wonderful voice, is a praise and worship leader, all kinds of things. So you get attracted to this person, to marry this person. Some also marry because all their friends are getting married and they're having babies. So they think that is the thing to do. All my friends are getting married, and when you go to the wedding, they are calling all the ladies to come and catch the bouquet, and everybody is asking when will be your turn, who will be the next. So they also want to get married. Generally speaking, we decide to marry because we foresee a future of fulfillment and satisfaction in life with this partner. Of course, nobody wants to marry to be miserable. Everybody sees a bright future in whoever you want to marry. Whatever the reason may be, you think that this person will help you. So that's why you are getting married to this person. But marriage entails more than the many ideas we have already stated. All that we stated already, it has more to do than that. Marriage demands commitment, an exclusive commitment to a person and to a relationship with that person. So you have to make the right decision about who you want to marry, as well as understanding what makes a marriage fulfilling to both husband and wife. You have to help to assure yourself that there's a high probability of success. You want to know how you want to live to have success in your marriage, because just the fantasies and all those things don't work. It doesn't go that way. You have to work at it. And it's good to have all those ideas, but you need to work at it. And there are a few things that can cause problems when, if you don't work at it. Some people, you found the partner and then you don't care anymore. You don't pay attention to your partner. You don't, sometimes you take the person for granted. Oh, he's already there, she's there. So as for you, you are there and you are paying attention to other people, other friends. The closest relationship we have are one of the first things that we can easily take for granted. We don't want to take anybody for granted. We don't want to be taken for forget how we do those things, how much something really matters to us when we don't stand to lose it. But sadly, it takes anything, something. Sometimes you lose the thing before you realize, oh, I really was playing. I really didn't take it serious. But we need to take any relationship seriously. You see, don't neglect each other. When you are in school, you don't neglect your schoolwork and expect to pass. In the same way, when you are in a relationship, you don't neglect to take care of the relationship and expect that everything is going to work well. Once he says he loves me, once she says she loves me, everything is going to work out fine. It doesn't work out that way. You want to find ways to work at it. And one of the things you do is not to focus on finding faults with the person. I focus on the good side of the person and make sure that you are friends. Make sure that you are friends with the person in a relationship before marriage, and even after the marriage. Make sure that you are working on your friendship. Get to know the person, the interests of the person, the likes and dislikes, and work with each other. Develop that, feel for each other. Be responsible in your behavior towards each other and help each other. There are so many things that can bring problems, into the marriage. But if you are focused on each other, if you listen to each other, you work it out, things can work together, because you have to really work at each other. Don't depend on friends, what people say, and what, people, ideas that people give you. You have to work at it yourself. Remember that in a marriage, it is the two of you, not friends, who are going to be there working with you. So you depend on each other, learn from each other. You need to learn from each other. Study each other very well. Know your likes and dislikes. When you are doing that, you need to trust also that God will help you in your decision making, in everything that you are doing. Without God, you are not going to get anywhere. You are not going to be able to do much. You need to learn from each other. How do we work on this relationship? Whether it is starting or whether you are married, whether, you've been married a short while or a long time, at all times, you have to work at it. One of the things that you can do is to keep sharing with each other. Share with each other constantly. There is so much to share with each other every day. And sharing takes time. There are things you learn about each other when you share all the time. So make time for it. Talk with each other every day. Everything that is happening, sometimes in your normal life, when you're going to work, coming home, whatever happens, wherever you are going, share with each other. What you have read, something you have read online, something that happened at work, whatever, something that you have learned, share with each other. And if you are two believers in Christ, you seek to know each other, even in your normal daily life. It is not just the church life when you are in church. Sometimes people can pretend very well when they are in church. They pray more than anybody else, but their normal life when they are outside the church is totally different. That is why you get to know each other very well. And when two people are in a relationship, You have an equal stake in the success and growth of the relationship. For example, each person should develop the habit of sharing something about their day. It opens a window for your partner to enter into an experience more of your world and to understand better the stresses or the joys you have and the strains that you have in your daily life, the highs and lows of all your life. You get to know each other, Sometimes you need to share about your family background, Not sometimes, you need to share about your family background, so that you can understand each other. Both of you, it's not one person sharing all the time, your heritage, parental heritage, the type of marriage, the type of home you came from, your hometown, the environment in which you grew up. It comes naturally as you talk more and more. You will not do that all this in a day or in a week or in a month, but you can keep sharing, highlights of your childhood experiences, things you went through as a child, memories that you have, whether they are good or bad. Some are good, some are bad. Share all the life-changing events, things that happened to you, whether they were good or bad, how they affected you, you share with your partner. Then you have to be somebody who honors your word. When you say something, you do it. When you promise to do something, do you do it? When you promise to visit, you say you will come at 6 and you end up coming at 8. Next time you say you are coming at 4, you end up coming at 5 or 6, and you always have a reason why you were late. Do you keep your promise? You promise to do something. Do you do it? Even in the marriage, every time you are promising, I'll do this, I'll fix this, I'll fix that, and you never do it. And your partner ends up doing the thing. Do you keep your word? Do you honor your word? You need to be faithful in little things. You need to be trusted that if you say so, you will do it. If you say that you are coming at this time, you will come at that time. If you promise to do something, you will do it. You can be trusted with such things. You also need to be to accept each other, and we all have our differences. We are different. We are, individuals, but we need to accept each other. Sometimes problems arise because one or both of us have not truly or fully accepted each other, and when you accept each other, you will respect each other, all the things that come with it, your backgrounds, your qualifications, your race, your likes and dislikes, you can respect each other in all these things and learn to agree with each other in so many cases. And sometimes you need to think of that, why did I want to marry this person, or why did I marry this person, and work on it. You must have reasons why you are deciding to marry this person. Is it okay? Are there good reasons enough? And if you are married already to the person, why did I marry this person? And work on those reasons, and, trust that everything is going to work well. And then you need to always look at how the relationship is going or how it's coming along. It's important to do this occasionally, to be honest with yourselves and discuss and work at resolving any conflicts. Anything that happens, things happen in every relationship. You will have disagreements. You will have misunderstandings. But how do we work this thing out? How do we talk about issues? Do we respect each other when it comes to talking about issues? Do I respect my partner's views? How do I take them? How do we talk about things? And how can you handle these situations? Do I get so angry that I cannot take whatever he's saying? Sometimes in relationships, every so often, I'm done with it. I'm just so angry. I'm out of it. If every week you are out of it, then get out of it before you even get married. And if you are married, stop this. I'm out of it. I'm out of it. Every so often, I want a divorce. Think about how you can work this thing. When things happen, things go wrong, and sometimes we need to apologize. Do you see yourself as somebody who can also go wrong, or it's only your partner who always goes wrong? Two ways. Sometimes it's always your partner who goes wrong. You are never wrong. And sometimes you are the one who is always apologizing. Your partner never goes or doesn't seem to go wrong, does not apologize. It doesn't help when you behave or when you see things that way. You should see signs of trouble and see how you can work at it. Maybe you need to talk to help you to see whether this thing is going the right way. Maybe you don't even see that you never apologize, but maybe when someone points it out to you or your partner says something, you have to think about it. That is it true that maybe I don't apologize and it's my partner who is always apologizing? And then you have to think about it. Do you want this relationship? Is it that you just want to, you just want to marry and you don't care about any consequences? Or do you want a success? Do you want to be successful in this marriage? If only, it's not that for some people, you just want children. So as soon as you have the children, you are done. Anything that happens, you don't care anymore. For some people, it's the money you want. So you get the money and, you think you have enough of it. The rest of whatever happens, you don't care. For some people, if it's the papers you want, as soon as you get the papers, then you are thinking of, you can divorce and, who cares? After all, what I need, I have it. But you see, you will not be happy in yourself. When you work at any marriage, when you work at it, you yourself, you will be happy. Because first of all, you did not marry to be miserable, and you want to be happy. You want to trust in the Lord, in all these things. For anything to work, you have to put your trust in the Lord and not in any human being. People can suggest to you, people can give you reasons why you should marry somebody. People can tell you all kinds of things, but it depends on you yourself. What is your trust in the Lord? If God is in it, you will not fail. When you trust in Him, when you put all your trust in Him, everything will work out well. Psalm 37, verses 4 and 5 tell us that we should delight ourselves in the Lord. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in Him, and He shall bring it to pass. When you delight yourself in the Lord, the Lord's desires will become your desires. So you will not have selfish desires. You don't just want to marry for what you will gain, but you want to marry for what you can also offer to the other person. And when you delight in Him, the person who is deceiving, He will show you. Because some people come to the church, they are even in the church, and they are wolves in sheep's skin. They are only deceiving. But if you are truly delighting in the Lord, you the Lord will show you, give you directions. You will see who is deceiving. People find people online, and anybody can deceive you, tell you all kinds of things. People say all kinds of things that they are not. But if you are delighting in the Lord, He will give you a way. He will show you a way. He will direct you. He will direct your path. And that is what Proverbs chapter 3 verses 5 and 6 says. Proverbs chapter 3 verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path. If you acknowledge Him, He will direct your path. And so if anything is not going right, God can direct you. People can even tell you lies. You can ask questions and they will tell you lies, but God can reveal it to you in different ways. Sometimes you will meet a friend or somebody who knows the person, who will tell you something about the person. And you don't just jump to conclusions as soon as you hear somebody saying something. You have to investigate it yourself and find out if what the person is saying is true or not. Because there are people also who just deceive you. If they think you are in a relationship and they are envying you, they will tell you things that will discourage you so that you don't go for that person. And for some of them, because they also have an idea, either they want that person or they want somebody of theirs to get that person so they can deceive you. So you have to trust in the Lord yourself. First Samuel chapter 16 verse 7. In First Samuel chapter 16 verse 7, God told Samuel, but the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at his appearance or at his physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see these. For man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. God is the one who looks at the heart of everybody. He knows who is best for you. He knows who can take care of you now, who can take care of you in 20, 30, 40 years. He knows your future. So He knows the best person for you. So when you depend on Him, He will show you the way. He will, and there are pointers all the time that you can see. If only you are depending on Him, then you will listen to Him and He will direct you, because God is the only one who knows the best person for us in every situation. Human beings, sometimes we mean well. I can see somebody and think that this is a wonderful lady for you, this is a wonderful gentleman for you, and suggest for you to go with this person. I'm a human being. It may not go well. But when God is in it, when we are all praying and depending on the Lord, He will direct you to do the right thing. And we need to, in every relationship, we need to respect each other. We need to really respect each other. If you do not respect the person, please don't even start the relationship. And if you are in the relationship, you are already married, begin to respect the person. Think about it. Do I respect this person? If you don't, work at it. Begin to respect the person, because if you do not respect each other, it's not going to work well. In Ephesians chapter 5, verse 33, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 33 tells us, nevertheless, let each one of you in particular so love his own wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband. Let the wife see that she respects her husband. Give your husband all the respect. And it starts from the friendship before you get into the marriage. If you don't respect each other, it's not going to get better when you are married. And if you are married already, respect your husband. Same way for the men also. First Peter chapter 3 verse 7 tells us, husbands, likewise dwell with them with understanding, giving honor to the wife as to the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers will not be hindered. The Bible is telling us to give honor to your wife. As a husband, give honor to your wife so that your prayers will not be hindered. You need to depend on the Lord. You need to trust each other and respect each other. If you don't have the respect for each other, don't even continue with the relationship. If you think that you are marrying this person because you are doing him or her a favor, forget it. That is why some people can, who is she without me? Who is he without me? He's a human being. She's a human being without you. You are not the only person in this world who can make them a person. They're already human beings, persons before they met you. So don't think that you are the one who is going to do them a favor. That way you will not respect them. So respect each other. If you respect each other, you can work on any relationship and it will work. What you need to do for each other is to see to it that you want the best for each other in a relationship. First of all, when you are praying for a partner, when you are praying for Mr. Right, how about you yourself? Are you working on yourself to be Miss Right? When you are praying for Miss Right, are you working on yourself to be Mr. Right? For this person, it's not only you. Selfishness doesn't work it. You need to. You don't have to do what's in it for me. You're just thinking about what's in it for me. But what am I offering to this person also? If it is a relationship towards marriage, what am I offering to this person? And if you're already in the marriage, what am I doing to help my husband, my wife to be a better person? In Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4, the Bible tells us that let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than himself. Let each of you look out not only for his own interest, but also for the interest of others. If we are not looking only for our interests, if we are looking for the interests of other people, then we will work something out. We will be able to succeed in our relationship. Guess what? When you are looking out for the interest of your husband, you are looking out for the interest of your wife. In the end, both of you will gain. Because life, that is how life is. I do it for you, you do it for me, we will both enjoy. But if I'm thinking of only me, everything I'm thinking of myself, that selfishness will not get us anywhere. And we will not be happy because you are only looking for what you want and you are not looking for what your partner wants. In the end, you'll be sorry. Begin to think of what you can do for others, for your partner, so that things will work fine. You have to make up your mind to enjoy your relationship. You have to make up your mind, whatever it is. I want to enjoy the relationship, not endure the relationship. Sometimes all you want is to marry, so the thing is not even going well. But it doesn't matter. It will get well when I get married. It's not going to get well when you get married if it's not going well right now. So you work at it. And if you're already in the relationship, don't just take it that it's my cross, So I'll take it like it's not your cross. You have to work at it. Pray for each other. Pray for your partner. Pray for your husband. Pray for your wife. That, things can change. Even if it's not going well right now, God is the one who changes the stony heart into the heart of flesh. And work at it. Learn more about each other, at any time. So that you look for, how can we make this thing better? How can we enjoy it? How do you learn about things? Read books. There are so many books out there on marriage. And the Bible itself teaches us a lot. Are you studying the Bible together? Are you learning anything about marriage together? Have you been to any seminars? Have you done anything together? Learning about it even before you get married. Have you been to any seminars to learn about marriage? How about marriage counseling? Have you, had any counseling? Some people, they think that you go for marriage counseling when you have problems. No, it is not the time that is not what it is. You learn. It is, so sometimes we call our seminars marriage enrichment. It's not, marriage seminar. So you think that you don't have problems. Some people tell you, oh, we don't have problems. There is no marriage that doesn't have problems. But you don't want to be painted that you have problems. So you don't want to go to those places. But you need to learn. You need to study so that you can improve on your relationship. What are you doing about it? Are you doing it together? It's not only one person. Sometimes one person is working very hard, on this thing. You want everything to work very well. The other is doing nothing. It doesn't work that. You have to do it together. You have to learn together. Encourage each other. Sometimes one person may not be too interested to begin with, but if you pray with the person and try to, encourage the person will come and will come to learn with you. Begin to read something. You are reading a book and you find something interesting. Share with the other person. Oh, this is what I found. Sometimes, oh, what do you think of? I just read something like this. What do you think? Discuss with the person and learn. Above all, you need to be praying together. You need to be praying together. Do things together and pray together and ask the Lord to help you. If you pray together, if you ask the Lord to help you, whatever you learn, you'll be able to practice. If you don't practice what you are learning, you are going to all these places learning everything. You have read so many books, but you are not practicing what you are reading. It's not going to profit you. But if you ask that, God is the one who enables us to be able to do all these things. And when that happens, everything can go well. Most of all, you need to pray together. Because God is the one, Jesus is the one who tells us that if we agree on anything on this earth, the two of us, if we agree. Matthew chapter 18, verses 18 and 19. It tells us, assuredly I say to you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again, I say to you that if two of you agree on earth concerning anything that they ask, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. But two people, if you agree on anything on earth, binding on earth, it will be bound in heaven. If you lose it on earth, it will be loosed in heaven. And if you can trust in him, there is no stronger force than the two of you, husband and wife. So if the two of you can agree and pray together, whatever people will try anything, It never changes when you are courting, you are in friendship, you are dating, there are people who don't want you to succeed. So they will work against it, they will say all kinds of things. Same way, when you are married, even if you have been married for 30 years, you still have people who say things against each other. It depends on the two of you. And people will work in so many ways, apart from the physical ones that they will do for you to see. There are spiritual ones that they will do too, but if the two of you agree and pray together, nobody can come between the two of you. You set each other up for failure if you expect that your spouse will fulfill everything, all your expectations. No human being can fulfill another human being's needs completely. Only God can do that. And so when you trust in the Lord, He will help you to be able to do things that maybe you may not even be able to do just by yourself, but He's able to help you when you are committed to each other, when you are committed to the relationship. You have made up your mind that it will work. I want it to work. When you make up your mind that way, then you can do it. When you are determined, and you should be diligent. And diligence involves giving serious attention to anything. When you give a serious attention to it, you work at it. You will think of how best, every day you are thinking of how best you can make this thing work. For our relationships, it means that we have to know the state of the relationship all the time. You cannot be in a house with somebody and the person is sad and you don't know it. The person is sick and you don't know it. The person is not happy and other people know in town that the person is not happy. You yourself, you don't know. What are you doing? You have to know, and sometimes you need to talk about this thing. If you think that one person is not looking good, you ask, anything wrong? Sometimes even if you haven't seen anything, you can ask questions. How am I doing these days? Am I trying? Maybe something you talked about previously that you are not doing well. How is it now? Am I doing better? Is there anything that we need to change? Is there anything that I can do better? Or is there anything I can do differently? Or talk about it with each other and help each other, because your aim is that you want the best for each other. I want to make my spouse a better person. I want to make my spouse a better person than I came to meet him or her. If that is your aim, then you work at it. Then you will not just stay there because if your aim is not just to have children, you think beyond that. Then when you have the children, how are we bringing them up? How are we working together for ourselves, not just for the children? You are not just there for the children. If your aim is not just marrying someone rich, then you will think of how to make the person happy. You will not just be satisfied that you have the money and that is it. You will work at it. You will make every human being is very important. You want to make the best out of whoever you are with. So even if everybody says this is a very, strange man, but you chose to be with him, so you have to work at it, so that something good will come out. This is a very strange woman. Well, I chose to marry her, so we'll work at it. And, people can change. God can change anybody. So people can become better people in all kinds of ways. And if you are determined and you are trusting in God, He can do anything for you and it will work. Only don't bend to pressure. because everybody is saying go and marry, and then you marry. Or people are saying, oh, your parents or friends are, why do you have children? Have children. And so because of that, you find the next available person. Then you'll be in trouble. But let your aim be that I want the best out of this person. I know that I have something to offer for this person, and this person has something to offer for me to make us both better. Amen.
Thank you so much. You've been listening to Mrs. Vivian Crabbe, my bride of 35 years and counting. And it's now time for question time. We are going to have questions, receiving questions from all over, from you. And if you are ready, you can set the ball rolling. You can send in your question to Be Inspired podcast, Be Inspired Radio. Sam is standing by to receive your questions. So, Sam, if you are ready, please go ahead. Those on the, if you've joined us by phone, you have a question also, you can ask at any time. So the floor is open, and as we always say, you can even ask on behalf of a friend. All right. So feel free. This is your time, and let's discuss together. Over to you, Sammy.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Crab, for and Mrs. Crab for the wonderful presentation. So, a couple of questions have come in already. The first one here is coming from Ohio, and it says that well, I just first of all want to thank you for the insights you shared. Now, my wife and I have been married for 4 years now. Uh, this is how we got married. I am a citizen of the United States, and she was looking for papers, and so we got married. Initially, it wasn't actually a real marriage, but in the midst of our paperwork, we became sexually active, and then it led into marriage. Almost every time I feel I've made a mistake and it is ruining my happiness in the marriage. I am actually not happy at all. We've been together for 4 years, but I still think that it was a marriage of convenience. What do you think I should do in circumstances like this? Should I be honest with her and call for a divorce, or should I continue to just let go and stay in it? Thank you.
Well, as you yourself said, it was a marriage of convenience, but you are now married. You are fully married, and it's because you wanted to, you know. So think of how you can work at this. What is making you unhappy? What are the things that are making you unhappy? Have you talked it over with her? Have you discussed with her? Let her know exactly what it is that is making you unhappy. You can work it out. You know, it has happened, yes, but it can also work out very well. People marry, they don't even know the other person, and, they were introduced, and, the first time they saw the person was like people were posted to them from wherever they are from, Ghana or anything, and they come. But they can work it if you are determined. It has happened. You know why you got married, but you can work it out. So talk with the person. Maybe you will need a marriage counselor also. I don't know if you have been to any counseling so far. If you have talked it over with anybody, you might need counseling and consider, all the options. It can work out. You can work out. Don't first think of divorce. Thank you. Good question.
Thank you so much. Now let me go to the other question here, and this is also in Columbus, another Ohio message, and it says here, Good evening to you. Great topic, great discussion. I love it. Uh, Now, is it possible that you can find a woman and there is absolute chemistry between the two of you, but when you get married, the chemistry diminishes by itself? I am in a serious problem now because a woman that we've been married for 2.5 years, I love her from everything, but clearly everything shows that she doesn't love me. uh I'm not assuming, I know this for a fact, because even if we have to have sex, I have to beg as if I am begging a beggar to have sex with somebody I'm married to. Sex is not the only thing, but she doesn't even talk to me. I've sat her down many times, asked why it is so, but she tells me directly in the face she's not a happy person. I don't know why. Is it possible that the chemistry has just gone? Any help?
I think you need counseling. Both of you need counseling. But yes, things do happen. You if you've been married, the first 3 years of marriage can be very turbulent. Things happen, and at some point it does happen in that, in a few years after you get married, there are times where you are very sure you made a mistake. It is normal, especially within the first 3 years. It's turbulence, things are happening, you think that your wife has changed, your husband has changed. It does happen, but things can work out. You need some counseling at this time. You need to work with maybe your church, your pastor, or find a counselor, a good counselor who can help you to work at it. Things do happen, but I mean, this is not, it's not the time that you begin to think that, oh, well, you are thinking you made a mistake, but it can still work out, So don't be afraid. Find a good counselor, talk with somebody, and seek help so that it will work together, especially because you loved each other and you got married. It can work out. Good question.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Liberia. And in Liberia, a question comes in and it reads, so when is it okay for a woman to stop seeking love? I am a woman of 42 years. I've dated a few people. It didn't work out. A few individuals who came into my life only take advantage of me, uh, spend my money with me, and then went their individual ways. At this age, I feel like maybe falling in love or leading to marriage is not a thing for me. My question to you will be, is there a point where you should stop seeking love and just focus on your career? Any help?
It comes back to what one of the quotations: trust in the Lord and look up to God. God, there is no age. It hasn't been written anywhere that when you are 30 and you are not married, you are doomed. Or when you are 40 and you are not married, you are doomed. God knows when He brings people. God can bring you a man in your 50th age. God can bring you somebody, at any time. Somebody got married recently at 53, and God knows what He has for you. So don't give up, but pray about it. Commit your ways to the Lord so that He will take out all the thieves and robbers, all those who come just to spend your money or just to use you. Be very careful about it. Ask the Lord for guidance, and then you will know. You won't get all these people who come to deceive you.
And speaking as a man, it's important how you present yourself. See, in the question you said, you asked, at what age does a woman stop seeking love? If people feel you are seeking love, then they might make it seem to you like they are ready to love you because you might be showing to them that you are desperate for someone. And yes, there will be men who will take advantage of you. Not every man, but there will be some, yes, they know she's desperate. They will say the things you want to hear. So instead of zooming straight into wanting to get married, take your time to get to know whoever comes your way. Give yourself time. Don't start a friendship with love and marriage. Build a friendship. Take time to get to know the person. And then you may begin to detect whatever flaws there are in that person's life. Maybe they say something today, tomorrow they say something different, and you begin to realize it doesn't add up before they deceive you. So that's something to watch out for. Don't present yourself as desperate to find a husband. And for the men also, let's take it also for, if you are a man also, don't present yourself as desperate to find a wife. You will find a woman. But whether the person truly loves you or the person wants to fill a void in your life, it's something you need to determine very carefully. As the presentation this evening has clearly talked about. This is also a very important thing. Yes, you can seek love, but more importantly, seek to know people before you fall in love with them. Don't start with, I want somebody to love, and then you begin, how are you going to determine the person to love? Start by getting to know them and let love grow out of the friendship that you develop rather than starting with love and marriage.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so now let's go to. Let me go here. All right, so now let's go to across the Atlantic Ocean, to Ghana, and he says here, I've listened to you carefully. I listened to Mrs. Crabbe carefully while she's doing the presentation, and the two callers that just sent their messages, I seem to resonate with them. I totally understand the Christian doctrine and philosophy of trusting in God. Of course, but I have trusted in God for that long. I've trusted in God for almost 9.5 years, and no man even looks at my direction. If I stand and I present myself to you, you will know that by the special grace of God, I am a very beautiful woman. But ironically, no man even looks at my direction. When I talked to my pastor about it, he made me understand that it may be spiritual. But I don't believe that. I think there's something fundamentally wrong. Is it the way I present myself? Or is it because career-wise I am too successful and so people cannot resonate with my sources? What do you think?
Since I don't know you, it may be difficult to answer right away. But just from the description, it may not be one thing. It isn't that you are so beautiful, men are scared of you. It isn't that it may not necessarily be that you are so successful. You're not the most successful man in the world. So men will be afraid of you. And it could also be spiritual. It may also not be spiritual. So it doesn't hurt to take care of all these things. And when you talk about career, do you flaunt your career in front of the people you meet? When I say flaunt, is that what takes center stage in your conversations? If that's what dominates your conversations with people, they may conclude, well, she's so into her career, let me walk away. You see, if your pastor says it's spiritual, why don't you have him pray with you? Or if you're not too sure he's the one to pray with you, why don't you get other people who can pray with you to do so? Well, he's your pastor, so he might be onto something. We don't know because we don't know you. But it's, as we say, cover all the bases and see what will happen, you know. And it is not that it will be impossible for you to find someone. But, like you asked, maybe it's also how you are presenting yourself. How do you introduce yourself? Some time ago, we had a session with some young adults, and we just asked people to take a minute or less to introduce themselves. How do you introduce yourself to people? Is it your position in the company or something that comes first? Or we all need to learn simply to mention our names. Hello, my name is Richard. I'm from Virginia. That's an introduction. There's no need to, I'm this and I'm director of this and I'm manager of this. That's not necessary. That is part of the finding out process. It's a different thing if you're in a business meeting. And it's a whole different thing when you want people to get to know you as you rather than as the head of this or as the successful so and so. It goes for men also. You don't want somebody to marry you because of your position. That's what Vivian presented. You want them to marry you for you. Then they can love you as a person. They're not loving you because of your position.
And if your pastor says it may also be spiritual, why don't you agree with him? And has he prayed with you? Pray with you if it needs
Just
that.
doesn't believe it.
Well, you need to, think about that too. If it's deliverance that you need to go through, yes, do it by all means and fulfill all righteousness. And, it doesn't cause any harm, to pray.
That's all the benefits.
So there are good benefits in it. Why don't you take that route also and just pray with him, so that you fulfill all righteousness? Thank you.
Right, thank you. It's getting more interesting because more follow-up questions are coming. And this is coming from Kenya. And it says that, well, thank you so much. But it looks like today all your callers have a common problem. And I am no different from the others who have asked those questions. Maybe I think you will be of a good help to us if you touch a bit on steps as to how to present yourself in order to attract the attention of men. Because just like the previous caller, I have a good career. I'm very successful. I'm very independent. I have my own house. I'm not dependent on anybody. But what is lacked in my house is a man. I have never got married before. I've never dated a guy before. At 33 years, I'm still a virgin. People don't believe it. But nobody seemed to even ask me of a proposal. I don't know if something wrong with me, just like the other caller presented to you. So if you possibly will give some steps, it will be of a great end. Again, this is from Kenya. Thank you.
Abariako, my sister. I'm just beginning to think, Sammy, that we should do a full session on why am I not finding someone.
I agree. I agree.
I think we should, in the next month or so, this will be a full session so that we address it. But let's do the first aid. As we gave an answer to the previous question. I think it was from Ghana. Begin to learn how to introduce yourself, present yourself as a person. You are the one they want to get to know. So the simplest way, your name, where you're coming from, that's enough. Let the other questions come. And as the person is asking, you are asking also. Now, some of what happens, and, having been around career men and women, one of the things that happens, especially for career women, is they zone in so quickly to the work they do. When somebody wants to know you, they're not interested in the work you do. They're interested in you as a person. Who is X? Who is Y? That's the person they want to get to know. Whether it's a man or woman, that's what they want to know. If you start with your career, the job you do, like where you live, you mentioned an upscale area, already that's going to create some barrier for some people. Not everyone, but for some people, you see. So I would say that's the very, very first thing, especially, for women who feel that their career might be a barrier. Let the person fall in love with you as a person, or let me backtrack, let the person get to know you as a person. And then in the process, they're going to, oh, wow, this is what you do. For example, if you are the managing director of, you know, a company, somebody asks you, what work do you do? You don't say, I'm the managing director of so and so. I work at company Z. Oh, I see. What do you do? Well, um, I work with teams. You haven't mentioned managing director. You know, I'm one of the people who supervises the place and all that. It's not deception. Yes, you're the MD, you supervise everybody. But what I'm saying is, if you start by saying, I'm the managing director of this company, oh, it's one of the largest companies in the country, immediately there's a whole host of people who are out. They don't even want to. Oh, maybe I should keep quiet. I will not be able to take this woman out. They're already cutting themselves out. Maybe you are happy that those people will not even be interested. But maybe, just maybe, somebody who is not the managing director today might be close tomorrow. You see, so don't create a situation where people can't get close to you because you are starting with your career or your position. But let's all, men and women, my name is Richard, I'm from Virginia. Oh, I see. Oh, I'm from Ohio. Oh, pleased to meet you. What do you do in Ohio? Now we're talking. Well, I do such and such. How about you? What do you do in Virginia? Oh, I do a podcast. Really? That's interesting. So I'm starting with the pod. They're interested in the podcast. We can talk about podcast. But that's not a job, is it? Now, you see, we can learn more about each other. And so this is what's important for us to be able to do. And Sammy, I would like to say again to my sister in Kenya and to those in Ghana, Liberia, the you stay tuned, as the saying goes. We think this is something that we should do a full program on. Why am I not finding someone? And for those who are found, you have to tell us how you found. All right. Thank you so much. Hope this first aid helps. Learn how to introduce yourself. Don't zone in into the type of the work you do. I mean, your position, but take time, get to know the people, be interested in them also, and be finding out more about them. Then you will get to know, is this the kind of person I like to get to know more? Or is this the person I should let go of quickly? That's also important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now let's go to the United Kingdom, and it says a good.
Coming over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Now let's go to United Kingdom, and it says here, a good evening to your panel. A good evening to Mrs. Crabbe. A wonderful talk. I really really love it. Now, this is a quick one to you. Now, three men have looked at me directly in the face to tell me that I am a very high maintenance person. Why would that be a problem? That is my personality. This is who I am. Why should I cheapen myself in the name of love? Am I not being reasonable? Thank you.
Well, okay. Let me answer as a man. I'll turn over to Vivian also to give you her perspective. If three men have said you are high maintenance, my question is, what are you high maintenance about? You know, and I'm sure they've told you. So the point is not why should you cheapen yourself. Maybe you think it's cheapening yourself, but if that's how you want to continue, okay. So the three have gone. You know, maybe you're going to you're praying, you're hoping, you're looking for those who will not have a or someone who will not have a problem with your high maintenance. But from the kind of work we do, I will tell you, such men are rare because they themselves need to be maintained. So, you know, what are they talking about? High maintenance is a phrase. What is it? You know, are you clingy? What is it that they're talking about? Think about it, and then you need to work on it. Don't think because they say you're high maintenance, it means you are high class. I think you might be mistaking high maintenance for high class. High maintenance is actually not a pleasant thing. When somebody says someone is high maintenance, it means the person could be overly demanding of attention, and that is not. I mean, to demand less of attention in that regard does not mean you are cheapening yourself. It might mean you draw so much attention to yourself and your needs that they feel left out, and that might be some of what they they're worried about. So think clearly, think carefully about that as well, And Vivian also has something to add.
Maybe you might have, if three people have told you the same thing, maybe you might have to find out from them what they actually mean. Mm-hmm. What are they talking about? What is the high maintenance? What do you do to make them think that way? It will be good to know. Maybe even if they are ending the relationship, it's good to know so that you will know what to do next time. So maybe it will just be good to find out from these people or anybody else who will be true to you. Some people may not tell you because they don't want to lose some friendship with you. They just want to, be with you, say nice things to you. But if people have told you, especially if three people have told you the same thing, find out what it is and see if you can work at it. It is very good to know and work at it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. The another question which comes in here from Australia, and they said, "A good evening to you folks. I'm sure you are having fun. I'm really, really enjoying myself." Now, this topic is a very good one because it enables you to know whether or not you are on the right path. I've been married for 16 years now, and we have no issues. Everything is working well. But sometimes I ask my wife a question, and she will not mind me, and she says everything is okay, and we never talked about. I try as much as possible, but nothing comes out of her. If I let go, we don't talk about it, and it doesn't repeat itself again until she has gone into another mood where she doesn't want to talk. Now, do you think this is dangerous? Because if my wife is hiding something that I am not aware, should I be concerned or worried? Even though I have not done anything that I think will affect our marriage or our relationship. I try to keep an open relationship as much as I can. But whenever I start questioning my wife over an issue for us to discuss, and she shuts down and she doesn't talk about it, and in the name of peace, I just let go. Am I doing the rightful thing for my marriage? Thank you.
You have used the phrase most people use, in the name of peace, and clearly from your question, you are not at peace. So it's something you need to change. It's certainly not working. it might well be just listening to your question. That's all we have to go on now. That your approach might be putting her off. See, I'm just going to use your question. So anytime I start questioning my wife, she shuts down. And in the name of peace, I let go. See, you start questioning your wife. It might be the approach. So perhaps you might try this way of dealing with it. Why don't you agree with her on a set time? Maybe just I don't know, every other week, once every other week, or once a month or so, whichever one will work for both of you. Agree on the time, and then you just say, I would like us to talk about how to improve our relationship. You see, it's better. It's a better approach for some people than asking the person, is there anything, wrong in our relationship? I don't see anything wrong. So, but something may have happened wrong 2 weeks ago. So make it a practice. We talk about servicing our marriage, just like we service our cars and equipment we have. So we need to refresh the relationship, create that time, and then it doesn't become threatening. Some people are risk averse. They don't do well when you confront them. So they may also not want to say anything directly. Yes, you say you're keeping everything open, but that's you. She might be the person who may not come out bang to say something. She might need to warm up to it, and then do so. So when you make it a less threatening situation for her, let me put it that way. For you, it's cool, no problem. But for her, she might feel, hey, I'm under questioning. What if I say something wrong? And that's what might make her bottle up and then shut down, as you're saying. So if you make it regular and then say, how can we improve our relationship? Think of the positive aspects, talk that way rather than, is there anything wrong, in our that kind. Some people find it difficult to respond to that, but it's easier when you say, is there anything you think we should improve in our relationship, or how do you think we can improve the relationship? You see, and then you talk about that. So make that part of, you can make it more of a regular routine than you questioning her. You see. And then it becomes a discussion also. And it's not a question answer thing, but you make it a discussion. She brings up an idea. Hey, what ideas do you think, you have that we can use to make our relationship, even better than we have? You see, when you say better, it means it's good. So that takes care of her apprehension of having to say it's bad. You see. And yes, if you know it's bad, there's something wrong, then you bring it up. And that's how you help to have a discussion. And think of the questions you ask. If you say, is there anything wrong? There's nothing wrong. Then you can't have a discussion. But when you ask, how can we improve? Then it makes it easier. All right. Something to think about. Okay. And make it less threatening, make it fun, make it more relaxing. And we actually, this thought came to mind also. We encourage couples, usually not to have this discussion at home. Find a relaxed place, get some ice cream, something she likes, not something you like only. Make it a relaxed time. Think of your good old days, as we say, before you got married. Those are the times each one of us needs to revisit what made us draw closer to each other, revisit those times to rekindle the love. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this is also coming from Ghana, and it says that you know I think that it was a rightful decision for me to stay up to listen to this program. Even though it's past midnight here, I have really enjoyed myself. Now, Mrs. Crabbe, while presenting, made mention that sometimes people will say things for you to just walk away from relationship, and by so doing, you end up losing whom you were supposed to have gotten married to. I am a practical example of that problem. I was dating this young man with a lot of ambitions, and a friend of mine said all manner of things about this guy. As foolishly as I was, I broke up with this guy without any proper reasons. Today, when I see him in town, I feel so ashamed because he has made it so big. He has a big bank and he's living his life to the fullest. And guess what? I am still here unmarried. And every time I see this guy drive past my neighborhood, I continue to curse this my friend for leaving me to walk out of this relationship without any cause. How can I forgive myself and let go so that I can move forward? Thank you.
Well, the harm has already been done, and you have realized it. And as I said, people do that all the time. Probably the person even had someone in mind. A sister, a daughter, somebody to suggest to the guy, so she didn't want you to marry that guy. That is why when you are told anything about anybody, investigate it well yourself. Don't just jump to conclusions. You have to investigate it well. And also with prayer. Ask the Lord to reveal the truth to you when somebody says something about anybody. But as it is now, it has happened, and how can you forgive yourself? Well, you just have to forgive yourself. First, ask God for forgiveness, to forgive you, and then forgive yourself, And your friend also, stop cursing your friend. Stop, bearing that grudge against your friend. You are locking up yourself. So forgive your friend also. Forgive yourself, forgive your friend, and ask God to give you a fresh start. God can do anything if you can only trust in Him. Let this thing go. Let it go. I don't know if the person is married. If he's not married, he may even come back for you. You don't know. But even if that one is gone, let it go. And trust that God will bring you another person. But forgive yourself. Let it go. Forgive your friend also. Whoever gave you that bad information, let it go. And ask God to give you a fresh start.
And let me just quickly use this, also piggyback on this to say something to those who are already married. Beware of those you listen to. Beware of who you are listening to and who you are telling your marriage issues. It may not be problems you are sharing. It may be the good things in your marriage. But be careful who you are listening to and who you are talking to about your marriage. Not every person who tells you do this or do that may have your best interest at heart. Just be careful and be wise. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for those answers.
Sammy, just hold on.
Yes.
Sammy, one sec. Let me ask anybody on the phone line who has a question. Please come in. Anytime. Don't wait for. Well, it's your time too. It's not only those who are listening online. But those, if you're on the phone, please ask your question at any time. Just come in and then we'll say, oh, we'll take your question. Thank you. Sammy, go ahead.
All right, thank you. By the way, is there anyone who has a question? So if not, so let me go ahead. And this is this is coming from Malawi, and it says that good evening to your cherished listeners. Thank you for bringing inspiration into marriages. Mrs. Crab, can you please, with all due respect, can you please give us some of the secrets that you have maintained in your marriage? Because when Mr. Crab was introducing you, he had mentioned that you've been married for 35 years or so, if I'm not mistaken. There may be something that you'll be doing so well that has caught the attention of your husband to love you that much. Can you please share this with some of us? I'm still young in marriage. I'm only 16 years in marriage, but I hope to get to where you are, 35 or so years in marriage. Wow. Thank you. If you can share some tidbit with us.
Maybe you have to ask Mr. Crab rather what he sees in me. But, I think the basic thing is that we started as friends. We started as just friends. I didn't have anything of marriage in mind. We were just friends, and we grew. We developed that friendship developed before it became anything like proposal. And all I wanted in life is to marry somebody I will be very free with, a friend who I can share everything with. And that is what God gave me. But both of us work at it, I mean, it didn't mean everything was not rosy. We've had problems here and there, but the good thing is that we talk about it. I wasn't a good talker at first, I was the one who was always quiet, but he kept pushing. He will ask, in different ways, what is wrong, what is happening, what can we do to make it better, and I was a very quiet person to start with, but he's made me a talker now, and which is good. So, I guess the most important thing is that we've been friends, and we keep working at it all the time. You have to service your marriage all the time. Learn about things in the marriage, about each other, learn about what you can do to make the relationship better, to make each and everyone happy in the marriage.
Since you said I should say something, I will. It's also important, and from the man's side, to listen to your wife. I hope your husband is listening with you. If he's not, let him listen to the record. It's important for us men to listen to our wives rather than other men and other women. The reason I'm saying this is they are not married to your wife. You are. So she is the best person to help you learn about her. Others can say all they will say, but you have to live with that person 24/7, 365. And the best person to learn from is herself. The Ewe language in Ghana, spoken in Ghana and Togo, has a name. The name for spouse is Esron, which comes from the word which comes from the word to learn, right? Mm-hmm. Nous to learn. So in effect, the Ewe language word for spouse is the person I learn from. Literally the person I learn. I'm studying this. In other words, throughout the marriage, we're learning about each other. Times change, people change, circumstances change. They affect how we do things, and we need to be learning from each other all the time. We don't stop. So I know how my husband is. Oh, I know how my wife is. Circumstances change, she might change. And we need to be ready to change with the person as well. let's not be so stuck in our ways that we insist, we the men, we insist our wives should adapt to us, but we refuse to adapt to them. Vivian says I've made her a talker. I'm also learning to keep quiet more than I used to in the past, because that's also good. It's not one person who has all the wisdom in the world, and there's nowhere really, culturally, spiritually, biblically, wherever you look, which says men know everything about women. So let's be patient, learn from them, and they learn from us in return. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing all these details. Another one here, and this is coming from Pennsylvania, and it says that good evening. Now, did I hear Mrs. Crabbe just mention that couples should pray together? My husband is a pastor. He doesn't even pray with me, and so when Mrs. Crabbe just said that, I called her to come and listen, and he wouldn't even listen because he thinks that anytime he wants to pray and I want to pray with him, I distract him. For me, it's kind of a worry to me, and I don't know if I am doing something too much by asking or demanding that my husband prays with me. What is your advice? Because clearly it shows that Mr. and Mrs. Crabbe prays together all the time. What is the secret, and how do I get my husband to understand that praying separately does not build a home? Thank you.
Okay, I will take it. Vivian will add hers. At the very least, if he's a pastor, I'm sure he knows that he's the spiritual head. And, if I don't know your complete context, but it's a bit strange to hear that he says when you ask him to pray with you, it distracts him. I don't know what he's being distracted about. If he can find time to pray with members in his congregation, you are the number one congregant. If you check the Bible carefully, and he will see from 1 Timothy chapter 3, he will realize that his home has to be put right first before he will consider the house of God, church. And in fact, the church started in people's homes. The Acts of the Apostles. That's how the church started, in people's homes, not in the synagogue, not in church buildings as we have today. So the home is important. How can you get him to do that? You've talked about it. He doesn't want to do it. And so, he's a pastor. You know the Lord. Why don't you turn it over to God? God, ask the Holy Spirit to convict him. Ask the Holy Spirit to let him play that leadership role, to come with you to the throne of grace. We read Matthew 18, verses 18 and 19. It says, if two of you shall agree, that's what Jesus said. Which two people can be more united than husband and wife, joined together as one? Two friends can agree and pray, things will happen. Think of a husband and wife who are joined spiritually, physically, and emotionally.
Great, my sister. This is a warfare. You see, the devil doesn't want you to be one. So he is putting all kinds of things in your way. And, stop just looking at it that he doesn't want to pray with you. Start praying that God will bring his mind to the fact that he needs to pray with you. He's a pastor. He should know better. But pray for him. Pray for him seriously, directly, that God will turn his mind, open his eyes to see what is happening. He needs to pray with you. And also ask the Lord if there is anything that you are doing to prevent him from praying with you. God should teach you so that you will change. Pray for him. Pray for him. Lay hands on his pillow, his wherever he sits, and pray that the Holy Spirit, will convict him to pray with you. Is very, very important. It's the devil's attack on you, so that your marriage will not go well. So you two don't sit down. Take it seriously. Pray and cast out all the demons in the house that are preventing him from praying with you. And God can do it. So seriously take it up and pray. Pray for him that he will be convicted to decide to pray with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And this is coming from Scotland, and it says that my husband and I have been married for 9 months now. Now we are. I'm sure we are the newest couples who are listening to your show now. Because all those who have asked questions are either 9, 10, 16, 30, or 35 years. But I have a peculiar problem. My problem is that I feel so disappointed because my husband's performance sexually is an eyesore. And I don't know how to bring to his attention that it doesn't satisfy me at all. One occasion when I brought it up, it became a big fight, and I realized that this is not healthy for a young marriage. So I just decided that, I just let go. And after everything, I find my own way of finding sexual pleasure at home when it's not away, because it doesn't make me feel like a woman, a real woman. How will you advise that I approach him in order not to create a third world war? Thank you.
You need to talk with him about it, raise the point, but you need a counselor also. You need a counselor to take you through these things, both of you, to take you through. You need to talk to somebody. Maybe you even need a sex therapist. So you are in Scotland, you'll find all those things. You should find all those things easily. So try to find something. And above all things, pray about every situation. Tell God what is happening, how you really feel, so that, God will intervene in this situation. But find a counselor. Find somebody who can talk to both of you. Somebody that he will agree to talk with. Somebody he will be comfortable with to talk with, because you need help. Thank you.
All right, thank you. This is coming from Ghana, and it says that I work in this multi-million-dollar company stationed in Ghana as an expatriate. But whilst here, I have suddenly fallen in love with one of my supervisors, and he had assured me that he wanted us to get married. But what scares me is the fact that won't I be too familiar with him when we get married, and how would that affect my relationship with this work? He is originally from Ghana. I am not a Ghanaian, but I'm an expatriate sent to Ghana to work. How would this affect my relationship together with him on the job, knowing that I may be recalled back to my country of origin in Nigeria or somewhere else in the world to work in one of our companies? Any sort of advice?
Well, this should form part of your discussions. If you are both in love and you want to get married, that should be part of what you will discuss. How are we going to handle the future? If he is your direct supervisor, that I don't know what your company's rules, but many companies discourage fraternization and amorous relationships with subordinates. So it might help both of you if you're really interested to have you transferred from his department if you are working directly under him. That's the first thing. And that may reduce some of the familiarity you are talking about. In a sense, you don't carry your, assuming you get married, you wouldn't carry your office to the home and your home to the office. The things that happen in the office or the home will not be going, back and forth that way. Um, but if you're worried about familiarity, it depends on how familiar you are talking about. You might know him as your supervisor, but there's a whole lot about him you may not know yet outside of the office. In the same way, there might be a whole lot about you outside of the office he doesn't know. So the familiarity will stop at some point. And yes, those are some of the issues you discussed, before, so that your relationship becomes one that is, mutually respectful of each other rather than relating as supervisor and, staff member. Because that's why it's important that you're not working directly under him in the same department, so that decisions being taken do not get muddied up. People don't begin to wonder, is he favoring you, or you might resent if you feel he's favoring somebody else, especially if the person is a woman, and maybe things may not be going well at that time between you. So you want to create that kind of distance if it's possible. But also, will you be transferred? Will you not be transferred? As you're saying, that can happen. If your contract is time bound, in X number of years you may be leaving Ghana. So how do you prepare for that? And if you're not getting married before then, how will you continue the relationship if you moved? Talk about it now. Don't wait until, yes, you get the letter, then you begin wondering, should we not, because then the pressure of what you should do will begin to drive your decisions, which will not be a wise thing to do at that time. So begin to talk about the issues now. What would it be like to live in Ghana? Or, what if the company wants to transfer me? Can they make me, permanently in Ghana? Talk about all that. Or would he be willing to move where you move, for example? Those are all things you can put together and discuss. But what do we say? Love conquers all. And if you are determined to make it work, where you will be or where you will be may not be an obstacle at all. In fact, it might be the least of things you might have to be concerned with. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just
But anybody online on the phone with a question? Okay. Anybody on the phone with a question? No one? Okay, Sammy, go ahead.
all right, thank you. So the other question here, this is also coming from in California, and he says that good evening to your guest. My question is a very simple one, and I know that I will get a very straightforward answer on that. Now, my husband and I, we've been married for 19 and a half years now. When we started, there is a lot of spicy on our marriage. We used to go to the movies, we used to go out, we used to spend time together. Now, all those have fizzled out. In the last 9 or 10 years or so, my husband and I have not even gone out together to even attend a common party together. We are like strangers living in the same home. For the sake of the children, I am here. Otherwise, I would have packed and gone long ago. Any piece of advice, he's sitting right here with me, and so he's hearing the announcement, and so please speak directly to him. Thank you so much.
I will speak directly to both of you. The question is, why haven't you gone out? Is it that you have invested, both of you, not one, have invested so much of your time into your children that you have neglected your relationship, you need to remember it is your relationship that produced those children. And one day those children will be gone. How are you going to be looking at each other when those children are out of the house? 19 and a half years, first one. If you had a child 2 years of marriage, first one might be getting close to college now. And that's what you need to watch out for. And we just need to remind you the graph for divorces has two peaks. First peak is within the first 3 years of marriage. Usually people are having problems adjusting. And then it drops, tails off, and kind of plateaus and begins to pick up again from 18, 19 years. Why? Your guess is as good as mine. Children begin to leave home for college. And that's why this is a very important time for you to talk. Why aren't you going out? Why can't you do the things you used to do? If you've been married 19 and a half years, by now it's possible you can leave all three of your children at home without a problem for an hour, for 2 hours. And what do our elders say? Old firewood catches fire much quicker than fresh firewood. So with a little effort, both of you can rekindle that love you used to share, And it's not the children. It's about both of you. You made those children. And yes, if you really are concerned about the children, you will be concerned about what will happen to you when they leave your house. You don't want them to hear you've broken up because they are now out of the house. But yes, you both love each other. You both have made this life together. What can you do to rekindle that love? Like you said, it doesn't have to be a party, but it could be 30 minutes somewhere, an hour somewhere. What are the things you would want to do? It may also be it's not the children. It's not about the children. But both of you have focused so much on working to provide for your home, working to succeed. Unfortunately, this is what happens in many a marriage. Once we get married, we have to succeed. We have to make it. And then what happens? You're living in America, the bills begin to dominate your life. We want to have a certain level of life, and we're working so hard to provide that kind of life that we want, usually for our children. And so we forget ourselves that without us, those children will not be in this world. So get back to your first love. Get back to when you first fell in love. And begin to do that for each other again. Don't stay in this situation where both of you are unhappy. I do not think both of you are happy. I don't think one of you is happy and one isn't. It's the lady who asked the question, but I'm almost certain husband is also not happy and might be wondering, this is not what I signed up for. This is not why I married her. In fact, in all the years we've done marriage ministry, we haven't heard any couple say they married to be miserable. Or even one person saying, I married so I will be miserable in the marriage and my husband or wife will be happy. Always two people saying, we're marrying because we love each other. We're marrying because we want to spend our lives together. But it's a life that has to be spent with meaning, and that you can create for each other. And we'll encourage you, rekindle that love. It won't take much. It can be done, and you will succeed and enjoy it. Thank you. Couple more questions, Sammy?
Yes, we'll ask one more. Looking at the clock, probably I'll read just one more, and then we can probably wrap it up from your end. So this question...
You can have two more.
Okay,
you can have two more.
Okay, two is good. All right, so this is coming from Springfield. Springfield in Virginia, and he says, "Oh, thank you so much for sharing all this knowledge with us. You have always been a blessing to our community. Thank you, Mrs. Crab, for the insight you shared with us. As usual, I also have my own question that I want to ask, and my question goes like this: My husband and I, we've been believing God for a baby. We've been married for 22 years now. We have not, I have not been able to conceive yet. We've done, we've gone through medical and everything. Seems that there's absolutely nothing wrong with either of us, and yet we haven't. We have not actually allowed this to affect our marriage, but as you know from our background, my mother-in-law is a thorn in my flesh. She creates an impression that as if I am the witch. But I can't make babies. It's only God who gives to you. If God has not granted me one, how do they expect me to get one? Thank God my husband is the most supportive person in this situation. What should I do? Thank you.
Continue as you've been doing, trusting God to do it. And God bless both you and your husband for not just staying together, but being supportive of each other. And may the Lord bless you with your heart's desires, not one child, but children, to the glory of his name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right, so we'll take our last question from Be Inspired. And so the last question, let me go to. There you go. So let's go to Iowa. He's coming from Iowa, and he says, "Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is all that I want to hear for tonight, and I think you have been a great blessing to me and my husband. My husband is sitting right here with me. I forced him to stay on to listen to this show because anytime you guys come on Sammy's show, it's always a blessing. We've been married for 12 years now, and we are so happily blessed in our marriage.
Amen.
We have used your
Become.
your show as a way of enhancing our marriage, since we are way out of state and we cannot physically be around to seek counseling from you. Everything you have done from the day of this program has always been a blessing to us. One quick question to you though is that how do we ensure that our in-laws do not have a negative effect on our marriage? We try as much as possible to keep them far away from our marriage in order to have peace of mind. It has worked though, but I don't know what the future will look like. I don't want to be accused of taking the man away from them. Thank you.
Thank you for this question. There was a program we had totally on in-laws. I don't know if you listened to it. Maybe some of you can post it again, the one on in-laws on the website, on the podcast. And, the most important thing when it comes to anybody is your oneness. When the two of you are one, when you show that to everybody, then nobody can come in between you. Think of each other. Remember, you are making things more, you want things to be better for each other. So you are thinking of how you can make life better for your husband. He is thinking of how he can make life better for you. That includes relations also, how they deal with relations, how they handle situations. But let them know, let them see that you are one, so that nobody will go behind you. Your people will not go behind your husband to talk to you separately. His people will not go behind you to talk to him separately and tell you that, don't tell, they tell you this one, don't tell your husband, I'm only talking to you. Or they tell your husband, don't tell your wife, I'm only talking to you. Be one. Make sure that they see you as one. You agree on everything, and in-laws cannot come between you. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. So
Yeah.
thank you. Let's just sum up tonight in just a few sentences. Um, if you're not yet married, take your time and start right. You're going to have 30, 40, 50 years with this person. Make sure you're getting the right foundation. Don't only plan your wedding, plan your marriage as well. And listen to and watch for the cues. How he's treating you, how she's treating you, how he talks to you, how she talks to you. The person keeping their word, how much are they sharing about themselves, their background? Are you getting to know the real person, or they're only telling you about the things they do? And how about yourself? Are you sharing about yourself, or you're keeping something back, afraid you'll lose that person? Perfect love casts out fear. It's not afraid. And true love is not afraid of letting the other person get to know more. Learn about marriage, learn from books, learn from God's word. Plan marriage counseling into the whole process, pre-marriage. Yes, you didn't start doing your job that you have now without studying something that led you to the job. Don't think that marriage that lasts a lifetime will come easy. You need to learn now before you get in. And as you learn, for those of us who are already married, let's practice what we learn. And if we haven't learned, we need to learn some things. Part of our learning can come from each other. Let's discuss rather than have interrogations. Listen to each other and learn from each other. And for some of us, we need to learn to listen. We are too quick to talk, too quick to air our views, and too slow to learn from our partner. May God Himself, who made us for relationships, help us to have the best of relationships to His glory. May we enjoy our relationships and our marriage, and we in turn help others to enjoy theirs. May God bless you and give you a wonderful month until we meet again. Amen. So bye for now. And third Sunday in September, we will be with you on this program again. So watch out for the flyer. It will be coming. It will be the 16th of September. We will meet again with another hot topic. God bless you. Bye for now.
Wamaya, don't you? 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 Wamaya, don't you?